did a great job at the beginning of Mass and making it through that long gospel. Today's homily is going to be brief because the rubrics, the rules for today's Mass, actually say that it should be brief. And that partly is the case because the reading of Jesus' Passion is meant to speak for itself in a sense. There's a document titled, a document called the Homiletic Directory that was put out by the then congregation, the now Dicastery for Divine Worship in the Discipline of the Sacraments. In that document, they devote particular attention to different feasts throughout the Church's liturgical year. And there's a short paragraph under Palm Sunday. And in that paragraph, there's a reminder that this week you and I get plunged into the whole paschal mystery of Jesus. His passion, his death, his resurrection, his ascension into heaven. And the document goes on to say that this week, you and I, we get to experience the paschal mystery in a way that speaks to our hearts. Kind of makes that very bold statement in the document. And it goes on to say, but the great desire of the Church for this week is not simply to touch our emotions, but to deepen our faith. Not simply to touch our emotions, but to deepen our faith. So that is the goal. Jesus, the bridegroom, desires for us, his bride, the Church, to have our faith in him deepened by being plunged into the mystery of the end of his life on earth. In my mind, what makes that more relevant, what makes that more meaningful, is a particular way that John Paul II described faith in one of the documents that he wrote when he was Pope. You may have heard me share this before. I think there's just something so timeless about it and relevant to us. He says, faith in its deepest essence is the openness of the human heart to the gift. And then he goes on to explain what the gift is. God's self-communication in the Holy Spirit. In other words, to deepen our faith in Jesus opens us more fully to the gift of his Holy Spirit, which is the Spirit through which you and I are enabled to cry out to God as Abba, as Father. In other words, through the events that we are plunged into throughout this week, the Son of God, who Jesus truly is, who the centurion along with the others at the foot of the cross confessed him to be, the Son of God, through the events that we meditate upon this week, through his passion, death, resurrection, and ascension to heaven, he teaches you, he teaches me how to be a son, how to be a daughter of the Father. The great gift of meditating upon this mystery throughout this week is that you and I would come to a deeper faith in the one who sacrificed himself to grant us access to the whole Godhead through him. And for a little taste about what that actually means, one of my favorite paragraphs in the Catechism explains it beautifully. It explains it as God's innermost secret being revealed. The innermost secret of God is that he himself is an eternal exchange of love, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and he has destined each of us to share in that exchange. This is what the events that we reflect upon this week have granted us access to through the sacrifice of Jesus. So in light of that, whatever you came into Mass this weekend carrying in your mind, weighing you down in your heart, this is what the Lord wants for you this week. To deepen your faith in him to deepen your openness to the gift of He Himself to you. My prayer for each of us, no matter putting aside everything else going on in our lives and in the world, is that we might open wide to receive the gift, the most precious gift that we could ever hope to receive, God Himself.